Welcome back to the Stay Up Late Show. Our guests tonight have had their hands in 8 different swing groups. One of them is currently running a swing group called Howl Swing. You can attend there every other Tuesday. Please welcome the duo group, Sam and Leslie.
Thanks for having us.
Sam, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
Outstanding. So the funny thing is you guys have both been on the show, and since we've done our last show, because it's been a while, Leslie, you were the last guest on our show. Sam, you were the first guest on our show, and since then you guys have, found love in this crazy world and just kind of brought yourselves together, which is totally awesome. Sam, you've had your hand in several different swing dancing events over the year, and Leslie, you currently run Howl Swing in Howell, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's every other Tuesday?
Yep, second and fourth Tuesday.
Do you ever let Sam help, or do you kind of just make sure he's the muscles to help move
That's
the
right,
equipment?
he moves things. No, he helps a lot. He does a lot for it.
Oh, okay, that's very cool. I'm glad that he can contribute too, because those genius minds like yourself.
That's right.
No, that's awesome. So you guys are here promoting the LymeLight variety show, which I think is completely awesome, because I personally haven't ever seen one in person before, but we've all heard of Ed Sullivan, and we've all seen clips on YouTube and everything. The funny thing is, a lot of people, they've heard of the Ed Sullivan Show, and they don't even know they've seen it, because they've seen clips of the Beatles, different bands performing during that time, different magicians were performing on there, and they don't really link it with that. Like, there was a show where they had just talent. It wasn't one specific group or one specific type of group. It was just a variety of talents and everything. Mm-hmm. So the funny thing is, you guys titled this LymeLight, Lyme, as in Lyme disease. Yes. So why don't you guys tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So LymeLight, the idea for this is to raise awareness for Lyme disease, the illness, and its severity, and how common it is, because not a lot of people know much about Lyme disease. So LymeLight, it also worked as a play on words because of the idea of being in the limelight, being on stage. So it just made sense. We're also connected to a lot of different people that perform and singing, dancing, and all kinds of other things. So we wanted to do something we were kind of familiar with, to raise some funds for Leslie's medical treatment and raise awareness at the same time. So that's what this is all about.
That's awesome, and I'm gonna touch base a little bit more on that too, because you said Leslie's treatment. So you have you been diagnosed with Lyme disease?
Yes, I was diagnosed in 2015, but I've had it probably since 2008 is when we think that I probably contracted it, but it took years to get diagnosed, which is one of the reasons that we want to bring awareness to it, is to help people be able to get diagnosed earlier. They say it takes about 6 years to get diagnosed because it's such a difficult illness.
So, I've heard of Lyme disease. I don't know some of the symptoms of it and what it can cause. What are some of the symptoms that you have to put up with being diagnosed with Lyme disease?
Well, Lyme disease, it's a bacteria. It's transferred by ticks. And so one of the things that's difficult about it, they call it the great imitator, because the bacteria gets into your system and it can go different places. And so your symptoms are different based on where the bacteria goes. The main symptoms, they say, are fatigue, joint aching and swelling, cognitive issues, that sort of thing. But really, it can range anywhere from, it could go to your heart. You could have basically congestive heart failure. You can have, I think that a lot of people get migraines, different things like that. It's often misdiagnosed as MS, fibromyalgia, that sort of thing.
So with the bacteria, wherever it attacks in your body, that area is going to start to shut down a little bit. So if that's your heart, you're going to end up with heart issues. If that's your liver, you're going to deal with issues there, your gut, your brain. And it's going to show up as some sort of malfunction of that area of your body, your nervous system, as it did with Leslie.
Yep.
And so you're going to start treating the symptoms of something with your nervous system. But the truth is that you have a bacteria that's eating away at it. And so it's very hard to find because of that.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit before the show, the three of us, and we were talking about how it's how did you put it? You don't really know when you have it because it's this...
It's called an invisible illness.
Invisible illness, that's what you were saying. Now, because you were mentioning something to the extent of, people are like, well, how can you be so sick? You don't look like you're sick.
Right.
Which is interesting because in order for someone to not look sick who has Lyme disease, they have to take just a handful of, medications every day. It's no big deal. It's your standard, DDR prime essential oil cellular complex. I mean, come on, that's in every medicine cabinet. Do you take every single one of these?
This is my daily regime. Yep.
Every single day?
Just about, yeah. This is part of what makes it so that I can come out and function and seem like a normal, healthy human being.
A lot of people don't know everything that goes into feeling normal. And what you'll find with some of these medications is that some of them go to reduce symptoms so that she can get out of bed because she'd be bedridden without a couple of these. Some of them go to healing the disease, and that's a separate thing than treating symptoms. And some of them go to when you're treating bacteria, you're destroying bacteria in your body, both bad and good, and so some of it is replenishing good bacteria. So there's all kinds of different levels of different supplements you have to take in this position to be able to really function.
It's interesting because it obviously doesn't sound like a picnic or any fun that you have to go through, but it's not something you hear about every single day. Lyme disease, it's not something that gets a lot of attention.
Right.
Just a couple years ago, they were finally able to make a dog glow in a South Korean lab. Hang on, cancer and AIDS, we'll get to you later, but at least we can make the dog glow. I feel like Lyme disease is kind of like put on the back burner with a lot of things, with everything.
It's now the most common insect-borne illness in the U.S. There's over 200,000 cases that are reported each year. So it's not something that's small, really. It's actually quite common. They say it's been found on every continent of the world except Antarctica. And it can be people, it can also be pets. It's pretty common to find in pets. So it's really...
Well, and it's hard to find in general. You find these kinds of diseases through blood tests. But this bacteria stays in the cells for the most part, and then about every 28 days, 21 to 28 depending on which strain you have, it leaves the cell and then gets into the bloodstream. So if you get tested for your blood at the right time while it's in your bloodstream, they find it. If not, they don't find it, unless you have some really specialized tests that they only have in a couple places in the U.S. They don't have these kinds of tests in Michigan, so you'd have to send your blood out of state to be able to be diagnosed in Michigan, unless you got it in that very small window. So it's very hard for people to actually get diagnosed. Leslie was told, how many years ago did you get tested?
6 years ago, I think.
She was tested for Lyme disease, and they said, nope, you don't have it. And she was tested here in Michigan. Then 2 years ago, a doctor sent her blood out to a lab in California, got it tested, and it came back positive. And so 4 years of delay in treatment because testing isn't up to the quality.
It's pretty common to get a false negative, really.
So why is it that some labs can test for it and some labs can't? Is it really just lack of equipment, or?
Really, it's just a matter of knowing what to look for, because you have to be able to not just test the blood for a positive, but also check for antibodies, things like that, to see, is your body currently fighting it? Is there, enough signs that it's there, even if it's technically not in your blood right now? It's it's a little bit of a different kind of bacteria because it's a spiral, and so it spirals into your cells, which makes it very difficult to find.
Okay. Obviously, if the pills weren't enough for the day-to-day headache of just living with it in general, what are some common symptoms of people that might have it?
Really, it can range anywhere from, muscle pain. People usually have insomnia with it, a lot of problems concentrating, that sort of thing. Neck pain, that's very common with it. So, yeah.
Okay.
So when you talk about fatigue, can you give us an idea? I mean, like, all of us sometimes feel tired. And so that's a symptom that I think we're kind of like, well, fatigue.
Everybody
like,
has
all of us
fatigue,
have that.
right.
So what does, like, a medical fatigue, what is that, and how is that different than just being tired?
Yeah, it would look like basically you have to, for me today, I went out earlier today and I knew I had this, and so I had to sleep in between because I wouldn't be able to come here and do something else during the day without sleeping in between. I literally wouldn't be able to sit here in this chair. People, they say, well, everybody gets tired, but this would be, you can't drive, you can't walk through a grocery store, you get to a point where your body just starts to shut down if you don't sleep. So it's a very intense kind of fatigue.
Okay. So what are you guys doing now to fight this? I know you're starting a fundraiser to see a specific doctor, because apparently this is the kind of disease that you need to see specialists in and everything. You guys are starting this event called the LymeLight Variety Show, LymeLight, LYME, for Lyme disease. You're raising money so that you guys can actually go down and see a doctor, and you can actually have a fighting chance to, stay breathing over the next 30 years, which is what we're all rooting for, obviously. So touch base a little bit more on this doctor, what inspired the variety show, all this great stuff.
Yeah, well, we have done a lot of research into, what to do for treating Lyme disease. I've been fighting it for a long time, and, it's kind of hard to really gain much ground on it just because there's not a lot of information here. So after researching, we found a clinic out in Idaho. It's called Lyme Stop, and they are basically one of the leading clinics for treating Lyme disease, and they do it they have a lot of different methods that they use there, but they do a lot of things with magnet therapy. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but they've had a lot of success stories, and I've talked to several people who went there who said that it was the best thing they could have done. So it sounds from everybody who's been there like it's a good option for trying to take care of this. So that's why we're going out there.
So this is a pretty serious thing, and you guys have a very chill way of promoting it with the variety show. Just to give you guys an idea, some of the performers on the variety show are going to be stand-up comedians. We're going to have voice impressions. We're going to have a princess impersonator, singer-songwriters, comedy sketches. It's a very, I don't want to say joyful way of promoting it, but it's not like we're not going to get together and sell brownies and cram this knowledge down everyone's throat that tries to buy a brownie from us. It's a really cool way of promoting it in a unique way. And so tell us a little bit about the variety show. What inspired it? What kind of a little bit more detail on these different acts.
So Leslie has been a ballet dancer. She has been since she was a little girl. She got Lyme disease while she was dancing regularly. She had a scholarship for college for dancing, ballet. She was a very accomplished ballerina.
I didn't know that about you.
And she got sick and was bedridden, and just couldn't continue doing anything in that direction. But she has always wanted to show through dance some of the struggle that she's gone through. So she's always wanted to perform something that kind of showed people what it is to struggle with the God, why am I still here? Why am I fighting? Why is this still happening. Why don't you just take me? And it was a really difficult time. So she had an opportunity to perform that just really didn't work out, and it was really rough because she wanted to be able to perform this. And so I told her, when we get a chance, we're going to make sure that you get to put together a dance and perform. And so we wanted to put together something where she could show people what she's gone through a little bit of the emotion of all of it and the ups and downs of fighting Lyme disease. And so that was kind of the start, is that she wanted a place to do that. Well, that would be rather heavy for people to come and see. And so we thought, well, let's do a bunch of different things. We're connected to a bunch of dancers and performers and musicians and stuff. So we are putting this together to have a lot of fun, bring some awareness, and bring some reality of this disease to people while raising funds for treatment. So it all just kind of came together like that, really.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's way cool. So the variety show is November 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What time?
It's 7 to 9.
7 to 9 at the Historic Howell Movie Theater.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be there's 8 confirmed acts as
Yes.
of right now, with more to come.
Yes.
So there's going to be a huge variety there. It's going to be awesome. Tickets.
We're asking for a suggested donation of $10.
Suggested donation of $10.
It's really
Outstanding.
whatever you feel you can give.
Outstanding. Well, I will say this: after you guys see some of these acts, you're going to want to give a lot more than $10. I'm not just saying that because I'm going to be there, and you can't put a price on a fake late night talk show. So again, Leslie, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Sam,
you.
always
Thanks,
a pleasure,
Chris.
my friend. Guys, take it easy. We will see you November 26th. Have a good night, everyone.